Did you kind of notice any of these massive changes that have been impacting some people, but they still continue doing it?
Yes. I mean, I think one of the greatest challenges we have is lack of understanding of ourselves. There's a great quote that a lot of people have carried through history, all the way back from the Temple of Delphi at the front gate, that said, know thyself. The Stoics embraced that. A lot of cultures embrace that in some way, shape, or another. And this is where it's becoming kind of a cultural phenomenon worldwide for me, is my good friend B.J. Fogg at Stanford. He created this kind of model framework called BMAP, and it's about kind of how you create behavioral change with a simple recipe. And out of that came like the like from Facebook and kind of the feed, and also Instagram came directly out of his lab at Stanford. So we're learning this kind of behavioral change and how we can create behaviors and how we can change people, but we don't understand ourselves well enough to be able to use those tools effectively. You know, we're using them really roughly. The digital space is barely understood within its own little bubble. If you look outside of it, it could be very well understood because it's just human beings reacting and engaging. But this lack of understanding of ourselves, of how automatic a lot of our behaviors are, of how certain patterns can be very toxic, even though we think, oh, I can make decisions for myself. But if you are constantly exposed to certain stimuli, you kind of can't. And when we're constantly being triggered with FOMO, with kind of loss aversion, with kind of things that make us feel anxiety, because that's where change actually happens a lot of times, is through anxiety. Our science of change has mastered that, but we're not looking at it holistically. And it's creating people that are just constantly in a state of anxiety, fight or flight. And it's kind of unraveling consciousness to a degree, I think. And we're seeing that whole scale all over the world. And if we understand ourselves, we look at history, and we understand the science of what's happening, we have a much more holistic way of creating change at scale, but not also kind of taking away our very humanity in the process. Because we can be very automatic, but that's a very low level of consciousness. It's a very binary, black and white, fight or flight kind of reactive space, and it's not where anybody really wants to be. But all of us will go there given the right stimuli, the right environment, over and over and over again.